Kyle Rittenhouse? Who's Kyle Rittenhouse? Is that
Isn't
the
that
greatest American
Oh my
hero?
God. Well, let's not get carried away here. Okay.
Are we taking sides?
Like, go a little
Everyone says
crazy.
centrists never take sides, and I always say that's bullshit. That's
That is
complete and
bullshit.
utter nonsense.
We
Centrists
always
want the
take sides,
truth.
yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
So whatever
We're on the
side the
side of
truth is
truth.
on, you will find the enlightened centrist right there going, yep, that looks like self-defense to me.
Do you think if you're being chased down by an unarmed person, Wisconsin, sorry, not Minnesota, my bad. Do you think that, do you think being chased down by a person, if you have a firearm, means that you're morally justified in shooting them?
Absolutely, yes.
You don't believe in like escalation of force? Like there needs to be a demonstration of lethal escalation of force before you're allowed to respond in kind, or?
If you're brandishing a firearm, and somebody's charging you anyway, I think it's fair to assume that that person likely has lethal intent. They could be carrying a knife, or they could be planning to take your firearm from you and kill you with it. You have no way of knowing that. It's not your responsibility to know that. If you're trying to comply with what I would consider a moral duty to retreat, which it seems like he was running away, but another person is charging after you regardless, by the time you've ascertained whether or not they have like a knife or something, you're likely already going to die. So yeah, I think that you have a right to defend yourself in that circumstance.
Okay. So if we're strictly speaking like morally here, I think that's abhorrent. You could potentially.
Well, first of all, I'm pretty sure if someone's chasing you and they don't know you're armed, okay, and you think that this person is going to hurt you, and you're running away from them, and they're not and they keep following you, you have a right.
Yeah,
in
totally.
Self-defense.
Surprise, sucker!
Because the idea
Look,
that like
I have a gun.
Yeah, because it's just so stupid. I think these people have, and I think Destiny brings it up. These people have like seen too many movies. They don't understand how like punching someone in real life works. You can kill someone with a single punch or like really fuck them up. You know, you hit someone, they go unconscious, they smack their head on the pavement, and they're fucked. We remember we saw there's like a month ago or two.
I know.
Where there was
two guys.
The cop pushes that old guy who's a protester.
Oh yeah.
He trips and falls, and he just falls like, I don't know, he just falls from a standing position onto a sidewalk, and he's bleeding out the ears, and he's suffering brain damage. Like,
oh my God.
Like, so the idea that like, oh, this guy, this like fucking scary dude is chasing after you, and you're supposed to just be like, oh sure, excuse me, please stop. Like, I have a gun, I will shoot you. Like, fuck.
This is what's so ridiculous about that, because even Vaush in this debate says, you know, they might rough you up a little bit, but, you know, kind of like you got to take your lumps. Hell no. I brought this gun for a reason. I'm not taking my lumps.
So
your bicep is taking a bullet.
Well, this is what's so crazy. People think they don't understand that every fight that you get into is a potential to die or to walk away with like serious injury that would be for the rest of your life. So I'm not going to risk that if I have a gun. Why would I risk being in that situation if I have a gun? I'm going to fucking shoot you.
This is the root of this whole thing, because it's the police that are in that same situation. They're like, I have a gun. I'm not going to take a risk. Why are you resisting arrest?
Right.
Wait, can you tell me why?
Oh yeah, because you could potentially justify with that line of logic an unbelievable range of potential justifications for engaging in like a preemptive lethal force.
Sure. Can you give me an example?
Yeah, I don't think that any time
you have the dumbest mob in human history racing at you with absolutely these guys have like 20 IQ. They have no sense of bodily damage.
This is so simple, guys. It's so simple, okay? Don't start shit with random strangers on the street, and don't try to attack people on the street. Is that really such a hard, complicated thing to do? Don't attack someone on the street.
It's so crazy because this ideological possession, you know that they were telling each other, white supremacists, get him. And all of a sudden, your brain turns off and you don't realize, oh yeah, that guy has a semi-automatic weapon. And
it's even worse because he has it out. You can see that it's not even like a concealed weapon. You see he has it out.
Yes.
Okay. You know what's going to happen if you chase after a guy with a gun.
Yeah. It's not going to end well.
No.
Time a person is running at you, that gives you permission to kill them.
I'm not saying anytime a person.
There's another thing that I'm interested in that I haven't found out the relationship between the 3 people that were following him. I mean, were these people hanging out previously? Do they have a relationship?
No, that's
I mean,
a good question. I don't know.
There's the one guy that hit him in the head and knocked him down. I don't know if he actually made contact with him or did one of those, like, tripped his feet up, gave him a flat tire, and that's why he fell. There was the black guy who jumped up into the air and, like, kicked him in the face. That guy got away unscathed. I think he fired 2 shots, neither one hit him. The skateboard guy comes in, he hits him with the skateboard, he gets shot in the heart. Then the last guy does the creep up thing with the gun. But I don't know the relationship of any of these enemy combatants. I don't want to call them heroes. I don't want to call them protesters. Oh, let's call them violent protesters. That seems doable. Yeah, violent protesters. So what is the relationship of these violent protesters? Are they friends? Do they hang out on the weekends? Do they drink beer together? Like, you know, if Sitch gets shot in the head, you know, I might be chasing the guy. But just some rando that I met at the protest.
Yeah.
You guys go get him, okay?
Yeah.
When do you want to talk?
Okay,
What?
morally, do you think if
That was all you. That was all you.
Fuck. I gotta stop doing this.
Kill you, right?
well, there's always a probability whether or not you've already demonstrated lethal intent, but you were
This isn't right.
Demonstrated
more
that you
pausing
brandished
for
a
me.
weapon, so you're willing to.
but if you've displayed
Can you
lethal
give me an example?
if you've displayed
Can you give me
lethal
an example?
if you've displayed lethal intent initially, doesn't that mean you don't morally have, like, by that argument, that means any initiator of lethal force would then be justified in killing anybody who attacks them after that point because they've demonstrated lethal threat, and that
If you've demonstrated, okay, hold on, don't try to, okay. If you've demonstrated that you've brandished a weapon, so you're willing to take things to a lethal level, and you're retreating, I would assume that anybody chasing you after that is also going to respond in kind with lethal levels of force. Can you give me an example of that not being the case? I'm not talking about, like, because you're making a bunch of arguments, but you're leaving out one part. So an analogy that you just gave, so I could walk into a club and show my gun and now I can just kill anybody that charges me? Well, no, because in that case, you're aggressing, not retreating. This guy appeared to be retreating. It seemed like he was running with his back turned to the guy who was still chasing him and throwing things at him. Now, if you can give me an example where my use case here fails, I'd be interested to hear it, but so far you haven't provided one.
well, I mean, it wouldn't be difficult for me to provide a use case because it's entirely possible to tackle somebody without having.
What's a use case?
I don't know. We're too stupid for this. I assume it's like a philosophical,
Maybe a debate thing. I don't
specific situation in which a product or service could be potentially used. So just a hypothetical situation. That's what he's asking for.
know. Oh, okay.
They need lethal intent, but if a person,
Do you think you, wait, can you know that?
well, no, but you can't know that no matter what.
So you acknowledge then that there's a probability that if the guy either takes your firearm from you or has a knife in him, that he will kill you, right?
Well, there's always a probability whether or not.
So wait, so to be clear, Vaush is saying that if you're at a protest and you're open carrying and a stranger that you don't know and have not provoked starts chasing after you and you run away from them, you should allow them to tackle you. That's what he just fucking said. Because he's like, well, you don't know if he's going to kill you. What kind of, what?
I know. It just defies anything. Like, it defies any human experience.
Yeah. I mean, imagine saying this to like you're a black guy and there's a guy wearing a KKK hood.
Yeah,
and he's
totally.
chasing after you. You know, well, you should just let him tackle you because you don't know if he's going to kill you. You don't know if that KKK guy, maybe the KKK guy is wearing the hood ironically. Okay. Maybe he's really an undercover cop. You don't know.
Yeah.
You don't know that.
You can never know. You just have to take your lumps.
Or not you've already demonstrated lethal intent, but you were the one who escalated force by brandishing lethal intent to begin with.
We don't know that.
Okay. This is, oh my God. There's so many people making this argument. This is like the weirdest, dumbest argument. He's like, just because this guy is open carrying, that means he's provoking violent response just by open carrying.
Yeah.
It's like these people think, Vaush and these people arguing this think that other people have no self-control. Like, this is basically the same as like the fundamentalist Islamic argument that, well, women have to cover up because otherwise they'll get raped, and it's not a man's fault because, you know, he has no control over his sexual urges. Okay, it's like, oh, the protesters see a person who's standing there Okay, he's not provoking anyone. He's just standing there with a gun open carrying. He's not pointing it at anyone. They just see him standing there, and they're just so provoked. They just fly into rage. They can't control their emotions. They just fly off the handle, and they want to tackle this guy.
And they should be allowed to, Sitch, because, you know, they may not kill you. So you have to let this thing play out. Don't you understand? Leftist good, conservative bad. What is hard to hear here?
Exactly.
We don't know that.
Do you think the person with the bag of coke brandished lethal intent before the person with the gun did?
We don't know. It happened off video. All we've seen, and now it's possible. I'm going to admit.
See, but this is one time out. He brings up something completely pointless. Okay, all we know, and according to the police report, so far there's no evidence that Kyle provoked this guy at all. According to the police report, the guy chased him with just on his own, fucking randomly. Okay,
you know the story.
So all we see in the video is Kyle running away, doing his duty to flee a situation, being chased by a person.
Right.
That's all we know.
Obeying the non-existent stand your ground law.
Exactly.
Duty to retreat.
He's doing his duty to retreat. Okay.
That's okay, because I don't know.
Do you know the incident beforehand? Because it seems like it's a bit clear. There's a video floating around of a dumpster that the violent protesters lit on fire, and they were pushing it around in the street. And there's a video of Kyle running with a fire extinguisher
to put it out. And
it's believed that Kyle didn't put it out, but another guy there got the fire extinguisher from Kyle and put the burning dumpster fire.
Oh, so was that why some people think he was being chased, because he put out a fire?
Yeah, this is what provoked the crowd, they say. Yes. So the violent protesters were pushing around, and you can look this video up. I retweeted it. It's on my timeline. So the violent protesters got pissed off that Kyle and his buddies put out their flaming. Isn't it funny that it literally is a dumpster fire? They have a dumpster. They have a dumpster on
this
fire.
This situation is spawned by a literal dumpster fire.
By a literal dumpster fire in the street. They also have like a 50-gallon drum or something that they were trying to throw into the dumpster. So that's in the street too.
Oh my God.
And the guy comes and he like uses a fire extinguisher. It's obviously not Kyle in the fire extinguisher shot, but there's a shot online of Kyle running past a camera with the fire extinguisher. Yes. So obviously in a hurry, right? There's a fire in the street, and the crowd got mad that they put out their dumpster fire and turned on them. I think this is going to become very clear what's going on.
It's going to be a very black and white, clear-cut case.
How are these people on social media going to backtrack away from this? They're just going to keep their mouth. Well, I don't know how the people backtracked from Covington. Maybe they never did.
They're not going to, because I was listening to today. Destiny was arguing with some streamer who I'm not familiar with, and the streamer's entire position was simply showing up to a protest with a gun is enough provocation to merit being tackled by
attacked by a mob.
Yes. Okay. This is the craziest shit you ever heard in your life.
How's that even possible? How are you supposed to protect? How are you supposed to protect your? I guess their argument is that you shouldn't protect your property.
Yeah, that's what they keep saying. You're not allowed to protect your business if it's going to potentially involve you shooting someone. You're not allowed to, because it's just property. Okay, who cares if you spent hundreds or thousands of hours of your life, to build up some business that some fucking total piece of shit, scum of the earth, garbage people are going to come destroy when you have nothing to do with the situation whatsoever. Okay, you haven't aggressed on these people in any fucking fashion, and they're just going to come destroy it because they're angry and they're LARPing and they don't know fucking anything. And you're not allowed to defend your property that you worked hard to maintain, to create.
This is so much the anti-capitalist argument, because that business literally is your life. Like that business is your future. It's everything that you've put into it your entire life, and they're saying, "Nah, you can't. It doesn't matter. You're just getting up in the morning and breathing is more important than your life's work."
Right.
It's such bullshit.
I know you. guys love covering breaking news. It's possible that maybe this guy with the firearm was actually provoking people to doing something earlier. That is possible. I don't think that justifies a guy chasing him. I think that's still stupid, but maybe it's a more moral ground to stand on. But I don't think either of us know that. All we've seen in a video is a guy running away with a rifle being chased by another guy with a bottle. That's all I've seen so far, at least.
Kyle was littering. He chased after him. Come on. It was totally justified.
So if it were somehow, and I'm not saying this is the case because I don't know any more than you, but if it were somehow demonstrated then that the person with the gun brandished it unlawfully or otherwise demonstrated lethal intent without provocation and was then chased down and then killed or engaged in lethal force, would you say then that morally justifies the behavior of the person chasing them down?
No, I don't think so. Not at all. I don't think it's the citizens. Once the threat has been neutralized, I don't think that you have like a moral follow-up or a moral justification to follow it up with lethal force anyway. So for instance, let's say somebody brandishes a firearm and you manage to knock it out of their hand.
Yeah, so in Vaush's hypothetical perfect situation, even if Kyle had aimed his gun at someone and was like, I'm going to fucking kill all you protesters.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, if he says that and then someone starts chasing after him and he runs away, then he runs away. Congratulations, you've won. Okay, the situation is over.
You scared him off.
You scared him off.
That's what Vaush is literally hoping for, though. Vaush is hoping that he was like, you commie scum, I'll blow every single one of you guys away if you don't get away from me.
Right. Well, that's what's so funny, because even in that situation, Kyle would still be justified self-defense because he tried to retreat. Obviously, it would be more murky because you say, well, he definitely provocated, but he still tried to retreat.
Doesn't look like that happened.
No, and that's the thing too, is that it seems so unlikely that even fucking happened on top of it.
It's so sick that everyone on social media is out calling this kid a white supremacist and all this stuff. Like
zero evidence.
Totally trying.
Zero evidence.
Not only is there zero evidence, there's the ADL, which is the like leftist, left-wing organization in the world, came out and said there's no proof that his social media profile links to any kind of extremist organizations.
Right.
If you have the ADL defending, and not only that, they said it in a statement to like NBC News, which is another completely left-wing organization. Like, these people are just grabbing at straws.
Pretty much neutral. Let's say it's a small guy, 90-pound dude, knock his firearm down, and now I don't think you can like kill him afterwards once the threat has been neutralized. I don't think
the
that's
threat wasn't neutralized. He still had a gun. He would run off later and kill more people.
We don't know that. You have no idea of knowing that, right? It didn't. That didn't seem to be the case.
The threat's not neutralized if the guy's still running away with a gun, especially if he demonstrated initially like an unlawful brandishing of that firearm. I would still assume that guy was a threat to the people around him.
It's possible, but it seems like I can to grant you this, I would have to make a lot of like pretty bold assumptions. One is that he brandished a firearm showing that he was going to kill somebody, but then ran away, but then turned around and used it anyway, which is strange. And then two, like he brandished it and killed a guy, but allowed another guy to walk up and provide medical attention and didn't shoot anybody else. And then three, it was charged by a mob later and only shot the people directly attacking him. It didn't seem to shout anybody. Like, it's possible that what you're saying happened, but neither of us really know that.
I don't know if all those
preconditions
are necessary for my argument to be valid.
No, I'm saying that what you're saying. So like, I could imagine a fantastical world where this guy like drew his gun. He was like, I'm gonna start killing innocent protesters, and some guy was like, no, get away, and like maybe threw a bottle at him. Like that.
You can see Vaush like scanning the chat. What's going on here? Am I winning? Am I winning? What's going on? What's the feedback?
If you look at Vaush's face, it's so interesting. He looks very different than he does in most of these conversations. Like, you can see he's trying so hard. Like, he knows that the argument he's making is so fucking terrible. Like, he's really trying so hard to keep it together and to find like the right road of logic and the right loophole he can try to get to make his stupid argument.
Yeah, totally. It's all predicated on the fact, this idea that this kid was some kind of conservative or right-wing radical, which his whole argument is constructed around that belief, which I think he still believes, regardless of the fact that the argument is complete garbage.
That's possible, but it seems highly unlikely. And even at that, like, I mean, like, once you've chased him off, it seems like your goal should be to retreat and call the police, or retreat and leave, I guess, if you don't think the police are trustworthy. I don't know why you would like follow it down and run it down all the way. That just seems to be like really irresponsible.
We're conflating arguments a little bit here. So it's possible that the most rational action that you can take is to hold off and call the police. However, if it's been demonstrated that this person is unstable or is provoking lethal intent for other people, it's entirely possible you believe that chasing them down and stopping them immediately is the most effective way to immediately put an end to the threat. I guess the biggest...
Who cares what some individual person, crazy person thinks? It doesn't justify their actions. Okay, you can think lots of things. Okay, you could think, oh well, Vaush is really part of the satanic cult, that is being brainwashed, that is brainwashing America. Just because you believe something crazy doesn't mean that you're justified to enact violence against the person.
Yeah, exactly.
Thing that I have an issue with is your assumption.
Wait, to be clear, that is incredibly unlikely that is ever the case. In any responsible self-defense circumstance, it is highly unlikely that the most EV positive action is to chase a guy with a rifle with a bottle. If I drew all the possible paths that could stem from that, chances are you're always going to result in more harm than less with that course of action. For instance, maybe you charge him and he shoots you because you're charging him, and then you provoke other people to charge him as well, and he shoots all of them, and now you've got more people killed.
Or maybe you exactly what happens.
What if you chase him and you manage to apprehend him before he kills other people? The only chances of that happen.
I like that Vaush thinks the criminal sex offender pedophile guy is just, he's just going to apprehend him. A guy who was, I like this. There's a video of Kyle before this, and it's you have him handing a fire extinguisher to put out a fire. You have a video of him talking to other protesters in a very calm manner, saying that he's fine with them protesting and he just is protecting private property. But then you have a video of the guy that Kyle shot, and that guy's running around saying shoot me, N-word, shoot me, and acting like a totally fucking crazy person. You can see in his eyes, he's like one of these people that's just totally unhinged. And this is who Vaush is he just wants to disarm him peacefully.
He seemed wasted too.
The threat.
He seemed totally wasted too, which adds a whole nother level of threat. Out of control of his own emotions.
A talk screen on, I don't know if they've done
I'm sure they did. I'm sure they did. Yeah. Blood alcohol 0.25 or something. I don't know.
That's not going to happen, though. That should never happen.
The only advice that I'm going off of here when it comes to how you should respond to active shooter situations is the advice that I was given when entering university.
You get as many drunk guys together as humanly possible, and you try to tackle the shooter, right? Is that what they told you in college, Vaush?
Should there ever be an active shooter? The advice for which is generally, and I don't know if this was just the advice that I was given in my university or if this is generalized advice, that you should hide, and if you cannot hide, you should fight, and that you should charge them with as many people as possible to put an end to the threat as quickly as possible, even if it might end up getting you killed. It's
so funny because, first of all, obviously comparing this situation to a school shooting is so fucking stupid that it's baffling that you'd ever bring it up. Okay, obviously, if you're at school and a random person with a gun starts shooting people, it's very clear that their motivation is just to kill people.
Yes, totally.
That's very clear. Okay, but even putting that aside, putting that completely aside, even in Vaush's own example, he's still wrong because he says they told us that the first thing you should do is try to hide, and if you can't hide, run. Well, look at the situation with Kyle. You're in the super wide open outside area with hundreds of people running around and there's buildings everywhere. You can fucking hide if you're fearful of this Kyle guy. He's running away.
Yeah, you're not trapped in a classroom. The whole situation with storming him is if you are trapped in a classroom without an escape route. There's a million escape routes everywhere around you, so the active shooter thing doesn't work. But it does, the thing that's interesting about that is it does give you a window into Vaush's mind. Vaush is conceptualizing this as a white supremacist active shooter, showed up at the peaceful protest with his AR to take out as many protesters as humanly possible. That's the narrative that he's pushing with every single argument that he makes.
Yes.
And it's bogus. It's complete nonsense. Hi, you just listened to a clip from the Sitch and Adams show. If you like what you heard, you can listen to our live show right here on this channel on Sunday, starting at 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern. And if you want, you can super chat us. We read $20 and up super chats on the show and then do a follow-up stream on the following Tuesday where we read the rest of the unread super chats and interact with fans of the show. Subscribe to this channel right here to listen to the live show or to listen to more of our awesome clips.